I'm a 32-year-old woman, and for most of my life, I've been compared to my cousin Fiona, who's 2 years older than me. We weren't raised under the same roof, but somehow, that didn't stop the comparisons. She had that kind of presence that made people pay attention, loud laugh, big gestures, always with some dramatic story to tell. The kind of person who could make you feel like you were in her shadow without even trying. Or maybe she did try. Honestly, with Fiona, it was hard to tell where the act ended and the scheming began. We never had a real fight, not once. But that didn't mean we got along. It was more like we were circling each other, quietly. I liked things calm and organized. Fiona thrived on chaos as long as she was in charge of it. Family always praised her confidence, her ambition. No one ever seemed to notice how she bent the truth when it suited her, or how people walked away from deals with her a little confused, a little worse off, and never quite able to explain what went wrong. When our grandmother passed away, she left behind a portfolio of properties. Rental homes, some commercial buildings, a couple of mixed-use lots. Everything was legally divided equally between Fiona and me, but the will named Fiona as executor, probably because she lived nearby and had visited Nana more often during the last few years. I didn't question that at first. I should have. Within weeks, Fiona stopped answering my texts. I figured she was overwhelmed. Grief does weird things to people. But then a commercial tenant reached out to me directly. He was confused about some new lease terms, something about a renovation surcharge that hadn't been mentioned before. That's when I started digging. The locks on 3 properties had been changed. Rent payments that used to go into a joint estate account were being rerouted into a different one under Fiona's name. I called our shared property management contact. Turns out she had fired them, replaced them with a company run by one of her old college friends. No one told me. At the next family dinner, Fiona showed up dressed like she was attending a press conference. Full makeup, folders in hand, and acting like she was hosting. At one point over dessert, she laughed and said she'd already moved everything worth keeping into her name. Then she turned to me and said, "Loud enough for everyone to hear, you were too slow. You always are." She went on about how she'd already hired lawyers, tax advisors, and even inspectors to modernize the buildings. She made it sound like she was doing everyone a favor by streamlining things. The truth was, she was making a mess, and she was doing it fast enough that most people wouldn't notice until it was too late. But I noticed. I didn't say anything at the table. I just nodded, smiled, and excused myself early. The next morning, I pulled together everything I had, copies of the original will, Nana's handwritten notes, old lease agreements, bank statements, and emails from tenants. I hired a probate attorney and a forensic accountant. Quietly, I started calling tenants myself. Most didn't even know I was an equal beneficiary. A few were nervous when they talked to me, like they weren't sure if speaking up would get them in trouble. One told me Fiona had warned them not to contact anyone else about the property. Another mentioned being pressured into signing a simplified lease renewal. None of the new contracts had my signature. Then Fiona called me. No greeting, no small talk. Just said, "You're too methodical for this." I already won. I let her talk. I agreed with her. Told her I appreciated her taking the reins. She seemed pleased with herself, like I had finally admitted defeat. That's what she wanted to believe. So I let her. Meanwhile, our legal assistant submitted a request for an official record of Fiona's executor activities. There wasn't one. She hadn't submitted a single required report, and that alone was enough to challenge her role legally. She was treating the estate like it was hers alone, not something we were supposed to manage together. Then the bank called me. Someone had submitted a refinance application for one of the rental homes. The paperwork listed Fiona as the sole heir. My name was nowhere on it. The application included